Hey guys, so I hope you're all having a great Samhain. This is the second video I'm doing today, and I want to say it's a less heavy topic, but we'll see. So this is going to be a video response to Erica, Rawspirit, and it just occurred to me that I didn't pull up her video so I could do the questions that she had thrown in. So I'm just gonna pull that up really quick here. Here we go. So a few days ago, Erica did a video where she pulled out the death card from every tarot deck that she owned and kind of discussed the imagery along with a few questions that she provided. And she told me that she was going to do this probably about a month ago, and I was over the moon for it. I thought it was a really cool idea, and I'm kind of hoping that she maybe does this with other major arcana or even minor arcana, anything that intrigues her, because I think it's kind of an interesting concept. But I think the death card is definitely the one that is perfect to start with, because for those who don't read tarot, they see the death card and they immediately are like, ooh, who's gonna die, you know? And it's not very often that the death card means that, but I will say that has happened once for me. So that was kind of crazy. But without further ado, I have every death card from pretty much every deck that I own. So we're gonna kind of go through them one by one, and I'll kind of talk about the imagery and whatnot. This might be a long video, guys, sorry. So at the end I will go through her 7 questions as well. Okay, so the first is the one from the tarot deck that I read with for, it was my first tarot deck that I read with for, wow, I think close to 11 years. And it's the Revelations Tarot by Zach Wong. So this is the death card from this one. Here we go. Focus. Focus. It's not focusing very well, but as you can see, it definitely has the death and rebirth imagery here, with Kali, the Hindu goddess of death, doing her dance, and then there's a baby in the bottom here, and it looks like it's in utero. And the interesting part about this deck specifically is that there are reversals printed on the cards. So I always thought this was interesting because just the representation of Kali, I mean, you don't generally see that a whole lot in our Western culture. So it was kind of cool to have, I don't want to say a more obscure death goddess, but it's kind of the only term I can think of here. So I always really was kind of intrigued by this card. The second one is from the Shadowscapes deck, which is, this is the second tarot deck that I bought. I want to say probably close to 9 years ago. And it's got, again, this, the rebirth imagery here. Oh my goodness, please just, there we go. Maybe? Right. It's so frustrating that it's not focusing. I'm trying to get this webcam to behave itself. But you can kind of get the picture. It's got the phoenix rising from the ashes, and it's sitting on this tree branch, and there is this small orb here. It has a baby phoenix inside of it too, and the phoenix has got just this fire, and it looks like the sun here too. There's just a lot of that spark of life, and the burning and kind of doing away with one thing coming from an end and then just kind of coming out of those ashes. Because no matter how you look at it, when there is the death of something, be it a situation or a more literal sense of a person, something comes to an end and thus brings about other things. So I always thought that was kind of cool, just the whole phoenix rising from the ashes concept. The second one, or the third one, excuse me, is from the Goddess Tarot. And this is another one of my tarot decks that I've had for a long time. It's one of the Shinto deities, Ukemochi. I actually don't remember her mythology very well, but the thing I find interesting about this imagery is that you have Izanami and Izanagi on each side, and you can see that they're the sun and the moon. In Shinto mythology, Izanami and Izanagi are the two deities that basically created the islands of Japan. So, and Izanami ends up being pulled into the world of the dead, and it's an interesting story. They basically are these star-crossed lovers. So I think it's interesting. I wish I had known more about the story of Ukemochi, though. I just don't remember. This one is from a deck I actually just got, and it's from Tarot de la Nuit. I actually have been planning on doing there's glare. There we go. A walkthrough of this deck, and I just haven't filmed it yet. So you guys are gonna get a peek at the death card here. This death card is so cool. Just the intent stare on her face, the makeup, the flowers is that kind of rebirth, as you can see. But I just can't get over the look on her face, that intense stare, that just kind of always foreboding, strong presence there. It's just so interesting. I mean, and the Day of the Dead makeup is just so cool. I really, really like this card. And the fact that she's got like pinks and just kind of more pastel-y glare in here is so cool. Like, that's an interesting thing. This deck is really glossy, so it's super hard to not get the glare, but I mean, it's just a very intriguing card for sure. Now this one is from the Art Nouveau Tarot, and this is another one of my earlier decks that I purchased, I think back in 2008. I remember because I worked for Borders. That was a long time ago, guys. And I really like this one because, again, I'm finding a common theme here, that death, there we go, look at that, oh, it's focusing. Death is being depicted, oh, of course I say something and it doesn't focus in again, being depicted by women very frequently in the decks that I own, which is kind of an interesting thing to kind of point out here. But the thing I love most about this one is the mask that she's got, that she's kind of holding off of her face. And the imagery on the mask is really frightening looking, if you can tell. But she is beautiful, even though she's got that ghostly complexion. But she still has, again, she's got the flowers in her hair, but she's got this gray kind of, these long gray strands of hair and this kind of just ghostly complexion with this terrifying mask, but she's pulling it away from herself, like she's revealing this beauty that she is. And I think it's trying to show us to not always fear death. And I don't even mean in a literal sense, because as we know, the death card doesn't always mean death in a literal sense, but just don't fear the change that's coming. This is kind of what I get from this depiction. This one is from the Tarot of the Mystical Cats. This is another one I got recently from a friend of mine. I like this one because it's kind of whimsical in a sense. So you see the kitty laying with her 9 lives, following behind her, and you know, we have this belief that cats have 9 lives, and I kind of think that also comes from the fact that cats are, as they say, half in, half out of the spirit world. That's I think that's why they were kind of revered in a lot of ancient societies as well, because they are just a very they're very mystical little creatures. So, and obviously my cats, you know, I love my cats, but what I also get from the imagery in this card is ancestors and family line, which is interesting. So and it's like the colors are vibrant. It's not dark. It's not macabre. It's just it's almost a very comforting image. Let's see, what do we got here? Okay, I've got 3 more for you guys. So another deck I just picked up by the recommendation of the lovely lady who I am video responding to, Erica. I was looking for something that was pretty similar to the Rider-Waite, but not the Rider-Waite. And I'm starting to learn more and more that I might just need to get a copy of the Rider-Waite. But this is from the Crystal Visions Tarot. And Erica shows this in her video as well, because she owns this deck too. But, oh, there's my phone. You have the Angel of Death kind of looking over this lifeless woman, and I don't know what the Latin says here either. I'm very curious about that. But you got the flowers down here, and then this this ray of light coming down with these butterflies. So again, that rebirth imagery here as well, which is just interesting. That seems to be a common reoccurrence in the ones that I have. But yeah, I also want to know what the Latin says here. It's interesting. Now this one is from The Wild Unknown, and this death card is a lot of the essence of the feel of The Wild Unknown. If you guys have worked with that deck, The Wild Unknown, what drew me to it is that it's very nature-based, and the artwork has a lot of kind of straight lines and very harsh shadows. It's actually a really good deck for shadow work. I would recommend it. But it's interesting because the composition of the bird is not completely decomposed. You can see pieces of flesh, pieces of feather and whatnot, and I think it's just showing the transition that anything that the death card would basically advise you on. There will be a transition no matter what. That's unavoidable. And so I think this kind of really depicts that whole transitional vibe to it. Sorry guys, I'm still sick. I haven't gotten better in the last 6 hours. I wish I had, but... So, I thought that was really interesting. The card is just super cool. Now this one, I think this might be my favorite. I just got this deck a month ago. It's the Moonchild Tarot. And this death card is just freaking fascinating. Like, again, we have flowers, but we also have the skulls. And you can see there's a skull. And then you have snakes and this moth and this butterfly up here that are flying towards the moon. And this woman, like, look at her pose. She's open, she's receptive, and she's just kind of dancing with the dance that is life. And I think it kind of shows us that sometimes we just have to move with it. And sometimes we just have to be open and receptive to the changes, no matter how sudden they may be. When we resist things, I think we suffocate ourselves in a sense. And I'm learning this in my own grief, in the shadows of my own grief this year. I mentioned this in my last video where I said that I feel like I should be further along with my grief, and it still feels like yesterday. And I sit here and tell myself, well, it's been long enough, but how long is long enough? We don't know. And sometimes when you experience something profound, be it positive or negative, you try, your instinct sometimes is to resist it. And I think it's important to just try and flow with it. And I think that's kind of what this depiction really represents. So I really, really like the imagery on this card. But so those are all my death cards. And where am I at for 15 minutes here. So I'm going to answer Erica's questions really quick, and then I'll try and wrap this video up. Her first question is, how does the death card make you feel? Most of the time when I pull it in a reading, much like everybody else, I have that knee-jerk response where I'm just like, what you doing? Why are you there? What you want? It's ridiculous. And I'm trying to learn not to have that knee-jerk reaction, but I just can't help it because I didn't always have it in the sense that I do now, except for when I did my wheel. I do a 13 card spread every year in the shape of a wheel for one card for each month, and then I have one in the center for like my card of the year. And when I pulled my March card this year, I did get death, and my mom passed away in March. So now I have this like, oh, okay, well, the death card actually did show a death, but I think it's because it was such a massive, significant one that's just how that was going to be. So I'm trying to not have that knee-jerk reaction. I just feel like I've gone backwards with it. It's ridiculous. What is your favorite death card and why do you like it? Well, I've kind of already covered that with, I really think it's the Moonchild Tarot one so far. The Wild Unknown is probably another top contender. What imagery in the death card do you like? I think I'm more drawn to the rebirth aspect of it, because I think that is one of the most inevitable parts of the lessons that we get from the death card, is that there will be a rebirth, and that you might resist it, but it's there and it will happen and it's inevitable, as I just said. What imagery in the death card makes you uncomfortable? That's a good question. I think maybe shadowy or decomposition type imagery. And I'm not even fully sure why. I think it's maybe just playing on like childhood fears of mine. I think that's something I might need to examine a little bit further. What's your initial reaction when you see the death card in a reading? Well, as I've just said, I still get that knee-jerk kind of, oh, why are you there? Like, what do you want? in a reading, but I'm that is more recent. As I said before, this year it was kind of really more of that intriguing, like, oh, that's interesting, why is that card there, what is going to happen, what do I need to let go of? I'm kind of trying to get back to that a little bit more. What lessons does the death card hold? Now, consistently for me, the death card has really kind of been a very flat out, something in your life is going to come to an end. Be it something that, an emotion that I've been holding on to, or a situation that I've been avoiding, or a person that I need to resolve something with, or something that I need to resolve in myself. That is generally what the death card means for me when it comes up in a reading, is that it's kind of really just the cut the bullshit, you need to deal with this. So, and then it kind of has that encouraging, as I've said, rebirth aspect to it, where it's, you need to face this, but it will be better in the end once you do, and you will heal from it, and things will move on as they always do. So, I encourage you guys to explore the death cards in your decks, and please do a video response to this, because this is a really cool topic, and I really want to see more imagery. I think the depiction of the death card is just fascinating. And I think it would be really fun to do this with our other tarot cards as well. But I think, as I mentioned in the beginning of my video, the death card was definitely a good one to start with for sure. And I think Erica did an awesome job with her video. So I will link her channel down below. I will provide the questions. And if you guys want to know anything about the decks that I have, please just message me. I will send you a link to where I purchased them so you can get them for yourselves. I have not done a tarot collection yet. I hope to do so in the future, where I can kind of show you what decks I have and what I use them for and all that stuff, but that probably will be a while. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful Samhain, and blessed be.